Let's get a view from the United Kingdom. I'm joined now by London correspondent Olly Barratt. Olly, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you heard what Imtiaz had to say about the fact that despite word of a ceasefire, in fact, the bombing in and around Khartoum has been extensive today. There's a huge operation to get British nationals out. Just tell me what's been going on.
Yeah, and what is happening in Khartoum in terms of the ceasefire is critical to all of that. The UK government has been saying that it really wanted to see some kind of ceasefire in place before it would start a large-scale evacuation. And so while that ceasefire hasn't been completely holding today, British officials seem to think that enough breathing space has been given to them to at least start the mass evacuation process of British nationals. The first plane carrying British nationals who are being evacuated is in the air as we speak, actually. It should land in Cyprus almost any moment now. We think that there will be 2 or 3 more planes flying overnight from Khartoum, RAF planes, Royal Air Force planes to Cyprus. The idea is that by tomorrow morning, probably around 250 British nationals and dependents will have made that journey, and then will make a journey further onwards from Cyprus back to the UK. The operation that the UK has been carrying out has been criticised for getting going more slowly than some other European allies, like the Germans and the French, for example. British authorities are saying that it's been a huge effort to get to where we are now, and they also make the point, they say, that it's a slightly different scale when it comes to the British people in Sudan because of the sheer numbers. We think around 4,000 British nationals are in Sudan or have been in Sudan. Over 2,000 have been in touch with the UK Foreign Office to say that they are potentially interested in getting out, in being evacuated. So it is a large-scale operation that is underway, but going back to where we started, UK officials have been very clear that if that ceasefire were not to hold, certainly, or were to get worse, the situation in and around Khartoum, then this way of getting people out might have to stop, might have to come to an end. But for now, the British government is telling people who do want to get out to get to this airfield just outside Khartoum, and they'll be put on RAF planes from there, everyone who's eligible, and they'll be flown initially to Cyprus.
Is there any indication that either of these factions, I mean, of course, one is representing the army and the leader of the country, and the other is this RSF, this paramilitary force that was meant to actually be joining forces with the army, but now it's a struggle for power. Is there any sign that they're actually deliberately targeting foreigners? There have been concerns about that.
Yeah, they have, and that's exactly one of the reasons, actually, Sally, that the UK has given so far when asked about why its evacuation is perhaps a bit more slow than some other countries. UK officials have been pointing to that French evacuation that came under fire before the British evacuation got going. We saw a special forces member of the French special forces being fired at and sustaining serious injuries in one of the French evacuation missions, and the UK have been pointing to exactly that episode and saying, look, we don't want to start evacuating British nationals in a large-scale way until we feel it's safe. What did happen over the weekend is that British diplomats and their families were evacuated, and when the British government is asked, why did you evacuate just diplomats at first and then wait a couple more days before the rest of the citizens were eligible, the UK was saying that those diplomats and their families were a specific target in and around Khartoum, and so they felt that they had to get them out more quickly. The UK Foreign Secretary today has been saying, James Cleverly, that he has been in contact with all sides, really, when it comes to the Sudanese conflict, to try and make sure that there are not guarantees, but at least some kind of sense that British citizens are not going to be attacked on their way out of the city, are not going to get in trouble as they try and leave the country. Of course, any conversations like that, many of the details of those conversations are going to be kept under wraps for now, but UK officials are making it clear that they are in touch with various individuals and groups and leaders in Sudan, in Khartoum, to try and make sure that when the evacuation continues, that it is being done in as safe an environment as possible. possible, but officials are also acknowledging the fact that this is a very volatile situation, a fast-changing situation is how the Prime Minister's spokesman described it earlier this afternoon. So, as I say, that evacuation from Khartoum could change or pause or stop at any moment. Just one other element to this is that the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, today has been saying that actually some British people are choosing to go it alone effectively and make their way to the east, to the port of Sudan, and get out of the country that way via the sea. So there are different ways of doing this. There are different ways that British people are choosing to either accept the help of the government or go it alone.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation to read. Thank you so much, Olly Barratt, coming to us live from London.